What's up, everybody? We had a new submission from Scott. So he does meat sales in the Midwest. And so I was going to give him feedback on his door approach. So meat sales, a lot of people don't know that Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, actually started out in meat and seafood sales over in New York. So it's something that door-to-door has been really keen on. A lot of people do this door-to-door throughout the country. And so we're going to dive into Scott's approach. He only sent me the first 20 seconds of his approach, so we don't get to see everything. Hopefully he'll send us some more. I know he was saying that he might record some live interactions with customers and send them in for some feedback and a breakdown. But this is really just going to be the first 20 seconds of how his approach goes. So let's dive into it.
Hey, how's it going?
So the first thing you notice, so obviously he knocks on the door and then he stood back a little bit and hand way up, right? So he's like, hey, how's it going? I think a big reason for this, it actually, when he opens his hands and you kind of like show like you're being vulnerable, like showing vulnerable spots of your body rather than being like, hey, what's up? Like holding yourself or whatever. Him like exposing and being really welcoming is a really open gesture. And so obviously he's engaging his customers in a way where maybe they're not expecting. I don't know many door-to-door people that open up like that. So it's probably a really positive gesture from the beginning, just like a friend's coming by or you're seeing someone that you know. So hopefully he's breaking a pattern just by doing something like that. So hey, how's it going? Straight up. And then the way he's dressed, I don't know if this is exactly how he goes out and knocks. Depending on what you're selling, I think it's important to look professional, but also just casual depending on the area you're knocking in. So like you want to dress according to the people you're dealing with. So I've knocked in t-shirts and stuff and I think it actually is effective. I wouldn't knock in like middle upper class in stuff like that. I'd probably wear like a button up polo or something of that nature. So it just kind of depends on where you're knocking. You want to kind of mirror and match and mimic the people that you're dealing with, who they do business with. And so this probably works in a little bit like middle lower class neighborhoods as far as how this attire. I'm sure he has different things that he could put on depending on where he's knocking at. So let's get back into it.
Up for the afternoon? How's it going? I didn't mean to bug you. I was just finishing up for the afternoon. Getting ridiculous on what's left.
Okay, cool. So what you'll notice is that he does a really good job. So it's like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, I don't know if you've seen our trucks out here. And then he's just like nodding like, oh yeah, we're working with, we're doing some stuff. And then it's getting ridiculous on what's left. And so I guess we'll see why he says that. I'm going to back up a little bit just because this is such a quick video.
I didn't mean to bug you. I was just finishing up for the afternoon.
Didn't mean to bug you. Super casual. I'm just finishing up in the afternoon. The reason I actually like this phrase, I use it a lot in my own door approaches. I'll use a different wording for it, but it's the same idea as like, hey, I've just been wrapping up. A lot of the times if I'm knocking in my area and it's later at night or I'm coming to the end of the day, sometimes when I knock, I'll open up with that line and be like, hey, like I didn't mean to, I know it's late. I just didn't want to leave you off my route. And so with him saying, hey, I'm just finishing up for the day, being able to say it's like, hey, cool, I just figured I'd stop by as a courtesy as we're getting done in the area. I think it's a really powerful line. It's a good like takeaway. It's like, hey, I just figured I'd stop by out of service to you, which can come across really well with customers.
Yeah, I was just finishing up for the afternoon.
Notice the little head nod. It's important.
Ridiculous on what's left.
Okay, so what he does there, so he's probably gesturing to his vehicle that's in the area. And so he's getting ridiculous on what's left. And I'm assuming he's obviously talking about what he's selling, the product. And so words like that are actually really important. The way he's like ridiculous, like it's getting ridiculous on what's left. And I'm sure he's opening it up for people to be obviously intrigued.
The beef, Texas choice. The steaks, like the Omahas. He's finishing up for the afternoon. Getting ridiculous on what's left. The beef,
Awesome. So what he does there is he helps them fill in the gap where then they ask him, well, oh wait, what's it about? And he's doing a very assumptive approach where it's like, oh, you should have known. You didn't know that we were already in the area. Like you should have seen what's already going on. And it's like, it's the beef, duh, of course. Like, look at my logo. Like it's and he says Texas choice. So it's just like, it's really like, hey, look, everyone should know this. Like, oh, I'm surprised you don't. I was just finishing up my route. I was just, didn't want to leave you off the route and I'm finishing up in the area. I figured I'd stop by. Oh, you don't know it's the beef? Like, that's weird. Everyone should know what's going on. So it's a really good assumptive approach, and I like how he left that pause there to being like, hey, we got a lot, it's getting ridiculous on what's left, and he's letting them like fill it in, like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, you should know, it's the beef, like everyone knows out here. So it's a powerful way to get them intrigued.
Getting ridiculous on what's left. The beef, Texas choice. The steaks, like the Omahas. You've probably seen the trucks with the freezers in the neighborhood.
Yeah, building more validity behind, oh yeah, you've seen us working.
Yeah, I was just getting ridiculous on what's left. I'll show you.
I think that's the end right there. Yeah, so I'm going to go through that really quick again. I know it's fast.
Choice, the steaks, like the Omahas. You've probably seen the trucks with the freezers in the neighborhood.
So yeah, so he just mentions the company. He's like, yeah, I'm sure you've probably seen this. And so obviously just building validation of what's going on.
Yeah, I was just getting ridiculous on what's left.
And then he goes back to what his original line was that essentially hopefully got the customer to ask about what he's doing. And he's like, yeah, it's this stuff. Like, that's what I was just saying, it's getting ridiculous on what's left. So he's then looping back around to what he initially got their attention on, or hopefully got them to ask questions about. And then he just straight from there is just assumptive, like, follow me, or let me show you, like, let's get into this. It'll be quick.
I'll show you.
So that's really powerful, and I'll go through the whole thing again and kind of highlight some different things. But I think the most important things to kind of like understand about this is his energy. It actually, for a role play, it's pretty high. So it's important to have high energy. Sales is a transfer of that energy. So he's transferring that to the customers. He's obviously really open body, excited to interact with somebody, and they might be excited to interact with him. Maybe they haven't dealt with somebody that's giving energy and exuding energy like he is. So it's a powerful way to show up. So I think that's one of the biggest things that you guys could take away from this is seeing that energy. And then a lot of hand movement, body language. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, we're doing this, doing that. Like, come on, like, I'll show you really quick. It's getting ridiculous. Using some common terms, some easy to dissect language that keeps people engaged. And then he has a couple of breaks in there to get people to respond. So let's keep going through. So let's go all the way through so you guys can see it.
Hey, how's it going? I didn't mean to bug you. I was just finishing up for the afternoon, getting ridiculous on what's left. The beef, Texas choice. The steaks, like the Omahas. You've probably seen the trucks with the freezers in the neighborhood. Yeah, I was just getting ridiculous on what's left. I'll show you.
Cool. So then, like, a couple things that I think Scott does really well, obviously, is that body language. It's the high energy. It's being very, very assumptive. I think those are the main key points in a good door approach. Some things that he could work on. As far as, like, breaking someone's pattern and making sure they're all already paying attention. I think through his body language and opening up and, doing that can be a good way to hook somebody and get them attracted in. But sometimes it might not work for everybody. They might just be like in a pissy mood or something. So he might need to attract them a different way. So obviously I'm sure he tries to adapt to stuff like that. And then the other part about it, I'd say, is like, obviously with his sell, I've never sold meat or seafood or anything like that door to door. So I'm sure it's more of a transactional approach where it's like, hey, it's more of like, hey, let's show you what we have, because it's almost like you're bringing the product directly to their home. And so I do think that's the most important part, is like getting them out there. And so being able to do certain things, and I don't know if he has like any kind of materials to show them or whatever. I'm sure it's best to get them to get outside of the house. But I'd say some areas might be like a little warming them up a little bit more, as far as like handing them something to look at really quickly, and then just being like, you know what, it's actually probably better if I just come show you. Here, follow me real quick. My truck's just right here. So there could be a couple different things that you use to make it a little bit easier for people to transition. Obviously, depending on the area you're working in, and obviously all your energy and excitement and whatnot, you could get people stepping right behind you. But I've seen it at times where reps struggle manipulating or copying something like this because they don't have that energy or the confidence that goes along with it. So an easy step in between that might be handing the customer something that's really simple, and then transitioning from that, just being like, hey, you know what, there's a couple of these things aren't in here. I'll actually show you. It's in the truck. I'll pop it open and we can take a look. So there might be some better ways to do it, as far as giving them a small transition into coming out to the vehicle. And then obviously there might be some things as far as showing them, maybe dropping the fact that, oh yeah, we're actually doing this to, get some more product out in the area, rather than just showing it off. It's more of like, hey, we got a lot of stuff left and it's got to go. Like maybe saying something like, hey, we're working out some ridiculous deals because we have some stuff that we're, trying to move from product that we're trying to move. And so doing something like that, or maybe dropping a line in there that you're essentially not just got a lot of stuff left and you're trying to show it to people. It's more of like, hey, it's got to go. Like I have other people, I have to go do another fill up, and I got to have space for this other stuff, and whatever. I don't really know what the best terms would be. because I haven't sold that in particular, but I think it might be good to drop a couple lines like you're expecting them to buy something or grab something from you or work with your program or help you out today, so that way you can get everything unloaded out of the freezer. So that's my critique for Scott. Again, really good job. And for rookies out there that are paying attention, really notice that big body language, that excitement, that energy that he's bringing to the table, and then make sure that you're duplicating that in your own business with whatever product you're selling. So good job, Scott. Hopefully we can see some more videos from you, some live stuff that has a little bit more like objection handling and, you know, maybe a couple more minutes or something like that. But appreciate you sending it in. Hope to see something new soon, and appreciate everybody else.